Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel. I think it's safe to assume that we all believe that XRP may very well be worth a veritable fortune in the future compared to what it is right now. But the question is, what's going to actually get it there? Is it real world adoption? Is it utility? Is it just speculative nature of how people behave in crypto just in general? Yeah, let's talk about that. And it's interesting, especially in light of the positive price action that we've been seeing in particular over the last couple days. But here's a headline from the Crypto Basic. XRP high price unlikely to stem from speculative investors, expert argue. Yeah, we're going to have to break this down a bit. And in terms of, real world utility for various use cases, like every single use case where XRP is used for one thing and not used, if it's being used somewhere, it can't be used for anything else, whether it's just people sitting on it, or if it has to be used in a particular process like on-demand liquidity, for the moment that it's being used for one thing, it can't be used for anything else for that exact moment in time. So it's not available. It's not available at that moment in time. So if you're talking about a world where the demand for XRP is increasing, and part of that, I believe, would absolutely just be a bigger crypto pie, more people jumping into crypto, and then a certain percentage of them, being interested in XRP, well, that's all fantastic. That's why the utility side of this matters. But let's not pretend like speculators don't play a crucial role. They always have and they always will. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so in we go. Industry expert Molly Elmore believes widespread adoption and utility will push XRP to a high price and not short-term speculative investors. Recently, the crypto community has been speculating about the potential price of XRP when the multi-year lawsuit between Ripple and the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission concludes. While some have argued that XRP can go as high as $1,000, prominent industry expert Molly Elmore has challenged this prevailing notion, countering that a surge in XRP's price would not be fueled by speculative investors seeking short-term gains. Now, look, folks, I'm not pretending to be an expert. I've never called myself an expert, but calling Molly Elmore an expert is more than a little bit generous. Just as a reminder here, and I'm going to push back against the stuff that she spouted, not who she is as a person. That's because I don't do the character assassination stuff on this channel. I push back against ideas that I think are terrible and bad, and I think she has some terrible and bad ideas as it pertains to XRP specifically, and some that could actually harm people, and I'm going to explain why. But Molly Elmore is part of the group known as the Buyback Committee, and honestly, I don't even know if they're still doing that whole thing at this point. It's big news earlier this year. I covered it all at the time, and you'll recall that this is the group that was putting out these wacky price models for XRP, making wild assumptions that are completely out of reality in any capacity. And they came to one model that showed that each XRP, with the parameters of that particular model, each XRP would be worth something like, I'm pulling from memory here, but something like $120,000, something stupid like that. Just dumb as hell. And they had a fundamental flaw in their model. And part of it was that they assumed that all value that exists on the planet, literally all of it, it's an absurd concept in and of itself, all of that value would be moved to the XRP ledger. So former Ripple employee Matt Hamilton pushed back against this nonsense, and Matt Hamilton noted, what are you going to do? You're going to move all of the government's assets, all government's assets the world over to the XRP ledger? So you're talking about what? You're going to move a tank to the XRP ledger? Like all the military property, all that stuff, you're going to move that to the XRP ledger? And then what does that mean? Because if you don't actually destroy the tank and then have that value somehow magically transferred to the XRP ledger, what you're doing in that situation is you're double counting. You're saying, no, we still have the physical tanks and all the guns and everything else and all the buildings and everything. That's still there, and it's worth a certain dollar amount. But in addition to that amount is also equally on the XRP ledger. That's actually what they were arguing, and they didn't even realize they were double counting. What in the ever-loving hell? And so that was pointed out, and then once it was pointed out, everybody on the damn committee that was talking up a storm about it, they all went silent. I didn't see a single buyback committee member be like, oh, wow, that's a fatal flaw. I pointed it out on the channel. I was like, Matt Hamilton nailed it here. Fatal flaw. But they weren't willing to be intellectually honest enough to be like, yeah, we really screwed the pooch on that one. We are way off base. Whew, that make a damn bit of sense. But that's bad because it's stupid, but if people make mistakes, I make mistakes. If that was it, then I'd just be like, okay, yeah, you guys got a little bit too excited here, and I think you are part of an echo chamber that resulted in this wacky idea, and then you all were just like reassuring each other, and then you put it out into the world, and then people could see like, wow, there's some crazy sauce right here. You know what I'm saying? But that's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem, and that's why I just want to make sure that you know what we're talking about here, is properly set the table here. That what was going on with this buyback group, this is what was proposed at the time because the document did get out. What the buyback committee was doing was they were seeking, in part, to basically convince XRP community members to move their crypto to an account out of their control, so it would have been a third party, and hand that over. And with the promise of this buyback thing going through, and I don't want to get into all the specifics, and we go way off on too much of a tangent, but they were trying to get people to hand over their XRP so they no longer control the keys to a wallet that they're in control of. They wouldn't have it. And I think that's like anybody trying to get you to give up your XRP, that should be an immediate red flag. That's a serious problem. But it's worse because what they were doing, this committee that Molly Elmore was or is a part of, the plan at the time. And it's in paper, so this isn't some sort of conspiracy theory. Like, we know that this is what they were going for. There was going to be a financial kickback for each person that a committee member could convince to hand over their XRP. Yeah, that's right. You were going to get basically a commission. To me, that's repulsive. To get somebody to hand over, basically, effectively hand over the keys to their crypto effectively, that's you get about the same end result. And then these people once they convince you to do that and give up that control for this crazy price of promising $120,000 XRP, and then they get a commission. Well, that's a bad incentive structure, don't you think? Isn't that a bad idea? I think that's a horrendous idea. And so David Schwartz even called it out. Here's a headline from Crypto News. Is XRP buyback program a scam? Ripple Labs CTO weighs in crypto economy. And they're talking about David Schwartz, who of course is Ripple CTO and co-creator of XRP and the XRP ledger. And he wasn't mincing words here. In February of this year, he said, and this is a quote from David Schwartz, "I haven't looked at it very closely, but what I have seen looks an awful lot like a scam to me. If we've learned anything from 2012 and 2022, it's that anyone promising high returns with low risk is almost certainly going to rob you." Damn straight. I'm just completely disgusted by the whole approach. I was playing nice at first, but then refusing to acknowledge that their wacky models were off, but still using them to entice people to hand over the keys to their crypto effectively, doing all that stuff. At some point I just had to be like, no. I don't know how. And so that's why I was saying a minute ago, like, just so you understand who we're dealing with here, Molly Elmore, when she was, a whole part of that whole thing here, and they called her an expert. I'm like, well, that's very generous. And again, I don't consider myself, I'm just a dude. I'm a dude on the internet. I'm not considering myself an expert. I just have a blasty blast talking about this stuff here. But I also wanted to tell you all this to help protect, because we're all in this community here. I don't like it when things look like scams to me. And what the hell does it look like to you when you see stuff like this? So I just wanted to point that out, and that's what we're working with here. So here's where this stemmed from there. There's somebody on Twitter named Crypto Assets Guy, who I think actually had a pretty reasonable perspective here. He tweeted out, "I need to say this again. Once the lawsuit ends, XRP won't hit $1,000, $100, or $50. It could reach $5, which is great in my opinion." And so I'll pause and note, I don't make a price prediction. I don't know if it will even get to 5. I would love for that to happen. I don't think it's crazy to suppose that it might be possible if we get positive news. So a lot of moving parts. Don't know if it's going to happen. But totally reasonable to speculate that may be the case. And the idea of XRP never getting to that level at some point in the future, like, it seems a little strange to me, and someone have to go horrifically wrong in terms of long-term adoption with XRP, but otherwise they think it's coming. So here's what Molly Elmore said in response to this, and I don't think it makes any sense. So I'm just going to challenge the idea here because I don't think that's, I just don't, you guys tell me. You guys tell me. But here's what she said. "A high price for XRP will not come from speculative investors looking to flip the asset on an exchange for profit. Instead, once XRP becomes widely adopted to move and exchange value, it becomes an attractive place to store wealth. At this point, the virtuous cycle kicks in." I don't know how to disagree more than I do. Like, I don't think that makes a damn bit of sense. It's always going to be humans that determine what the price of XRP is. It really is. And I understand you can argue like there are trading bots and stuff like that, but even then, the parameters of the bots were set by humans. So it's what I'm saying. Ultimately, it's still humans in control of determining what the global price of XRP is. That's not going to change. It's humans speculating, buying and selling here. And to state that once XRP becomes widely adopted, what the speculation stuff? What does that even mean? And then and then move into exchange value. So once it's widely adopted and to move an exchange value, it becomes an attractive place to store wealth. Well, let me tell you something. I've taken polls on this, and I'm not pretending that they're scientific, but I've done my own, and I've seen others put out similar stuff here. We could do it again, and it'd be fun. But how many of you out there are at least in part have as a reason that you hold XRP is because you believe you're treating it and believe that it is a store of value? I did a poll, and that was most people that responded. I don't remember exactly what the number was. And it doesn't mean that it's even the primary reason you hold XRP. It doesn't have to be. Is it a reason? Because I'll tell you what, when I was purchasing XRP, and it's still my largest crypto holding, I was speculating. I was speculating that it would be worth, and I was using it as a store of value. These things don't have to be mutually exclusive, and they're not. So when she's saying that, it's not going to be speculation from investors that's going to cause a high price of XRP, what are you talking about? Speculators got Bitcoin to go from literally being worth $0 to going to about $70,000 and having a market cap of somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.3 trillion. So to think that that wouldn't apply to XRP conceptually makes no sense to me. Now, utility, I think, is ultimately what's going to entice people as we continue to see further maturation of this asset class. Sure. So that concept makes sense, but that's not what she's even saying here. And so if you're talking about in terms, because she wrote here again, once XRP becomes widely adopted to move and exchange value, it becomes an attractive place to store wealth. Yeah, so I don't know if she specifically had on-demand liquidity in mind, but it sounds like that. And so as far as on-demand liquidity, let's talk about that then, in case that's what she's trying to get at, because she's talking about exchanging value. I mean, unless she actually meant people using it in place of fiat currency, I don't know. But if you're talking about on-demand liquidity, understand that individual transactions, if there's just an individual on-demand liquidity transaction, it's not going to do anything. That one individual, not really going to do a whole lot of anything to increase the price of XRP. So it's getting used for utility purposes. But what you have is XRP being purchased on one exchange in one country, then moving to another country, a different jurisdiction geographically, and then being sold on an exchange in a different market. So you have buy-side pressure in the first market, and then you have sell-side pressure in the next market. So if you have a lot of flows going in one direction, you get this lopsided instance. If it went unchecked, you just have the price going up and up and up on this one exchange in this one market, but then it shifts to another jurisdiction and it's being sold. You have all this sell pressure, right? So that would get lopsided if it went unchecked. That's a concept we can all understand, right? But that doesn't happen thanks to arbitrage. People notice that there's a gap, and when these gaps happen, and they do in markets all the time, including in traditional finance, equities, all that stuff. Well, when those instances are noticed, people will take advantage of them, and that ends up evening out the price. But just understand, for every buy, there's an equal sell side, and then it just evens out. It's arbitrage. And so that in and of itself, it's not an individual transaction that's going to do it. But don't be down about that. That doesn't mean that on-demand liquidity couldn't or wouldn't necessarily, in some sort of important way, increase the price of XRP for two primary reasons. Number one, the fact that any crypto is getting used for anything, I think, is going to entice people to speculate on it and hold it as a store of value. So there's that, just conceptually that. But perhaps, at least equally importantly, perhaps anyway, is when that XRP is being used for on-demand liquidity, remember what I said at the outset of the video? It can't be used for anything else. So if the volume for on-demand liquidity picks up so spectacularly that there's just, I don't even know what, just imagine a crazy high number. What if it's in the, moving trillions and trillions of dollars per day, just in a dream world? Let's say that's happening. Well, that XRP being used to help facilitate those global transactions then cannot be purchased by you. It can't be used by you for yourself or for your store of value or anything else. So anybody else that still wants to participate in the XRP ecosystem, hold XRP, use it for anything else, you still have to buy it, but you can't buy the stuff that's not available that other people are using. So that absolutely would play into supply and demand dynamics, pushing the price of XRP up. So it can. I just wanted to paint a full picture here that if you're just talking about an individual transaction, it evens out. You're talking about buy pressure, then there's an equal selling pressure in another market. It evens out. So the reason it works and can ultimately move the price up. I believe this is what I've been theorizing about for over half a decade. Is that if you have that type of activity, again, it could be anything. It doesn't have to be on-demand liquidity. If you have a crazy increase in the quantity of people that hold XRP purely as a store of value, then it can't be used for anything else there. So again, still, what I'm saying is, what drives the price of XRP ultimately, let's boil it down here. What does it? It's an increase in demand for XRP. If you want to know why XRP isn't worth $3, $4, $5 right now, it's because there's not sufficient demand to get it to that price point. There are humans speculating on it every single day. But until more humans come in and they speculate and they want to buy it, and maybe part of the speculation is about a store of value. Well, until more of that happens, you're not going to see that. So I just think that Molly's missing the mark here. But again, she also thought that it was reasonable to put out a buyback model, that showed that XRP with these parameters could go to $120,000, as if we're supposed to take that seriously, and then double counting assets, and then not acknowledging that that was a mistake once it was pointed out that that was a mistake. And then on top of that, the whole thing, just the financial incentivization, to get your fellow XRP community members to transfer their hard-earned XRP to a third party, even if it's not you, and it wasn't going to be them, but still, they would have been some sort of third party. That increases substantial. And then the idea that you would have gotten something back, and then all the other kickbacks and stuff. I remember going through it at the time, and it's just like, wow. So that's why David Schwartz said what he said. It said it looks like a scam. Again, the quote from David Schwartz one more time, February 5th, 2023. I haven't looked at it very closely, but what I have seen looks an awful lot like a scam to me. If we've learned anything from 2012 and 2022, it's that anyone promising high returns with low risk is almost certainly going to rob you. So that's David Schwartz, not mincing words. So you can see why I've been concerned, right? And so that's who they were calling an expert here. And she's just denying that to deny that it's humans speculating that caused the global price of XRP or any asset is pure silliness. That is not, it's always going to be humans buying and selling, and then you look at supply and demand dynamics. That's how it's always going to be the case. Even if you throw a bot in there, it's still humans setting the parameter of the bot. That's just how it's always going to be. And so none of this is bad. Like, I'm just recognizing reality. This is still really good stuff. This is why, as you have more and more people jump into crypto, this is why I personally believe ultimately XRP could be worth way more than it is right now. I mean, just think about this. With comparatively way less utility for XRP over half a decade ago, you're talking about the end of 2017, and with like a fraction of % of humans on the planet having ever held XRP at any point in time, it still ran to almost $4 with almost no utility and with almost no humans in crypto. That's astonishing and cool. That is amazing. So now imagine as more time passes and XRP has, in terms of utility, certainly that's been increasing. That's going in the right direction. More and more people jumping into crypto. And you're talking about the conclusion of the SEC v. Ripple case. There's so many reasons to be hopeful about all of this, but either way, it's always going to be humans deciding what the price of XRP is, period. Right? That is it. That's just how this works. But if you disagree, that's fine. I always think talks like this are fun. It's fun to share concepts on this. So if you think I'm wrong, that's fine. Just articulate your reasons why. And I always do enjoy having a little fun back and forth. I don't like screaming matches. Arguments aren't as fun. But if it's a debate where we're just trying to work together to get to whatever the truth is, even if we disagree along the way, that's fun. I like debates and thoughtful intellectual conversations and stuff like this. I don't like the people, get emotional. They're offended. You said my idea is bad. I'm emotionally offended. Like, I just grow up. Just can you be a damn adult? Just be an adult. Be an adult. I'll go ahead and wrap up here. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family Sedan.